What is up, y'all, and welcome to the Three Wiggle Golf Show, where we talk shop, always go 4-2, and never, ever three-putt first. Thank you all for joining me and tuning into the show. Really means a lot. I've been enjoying getting the second season kicked off with a couple guest episodes, and then here we are now into the first weekly wrap episode. And we're gonna dive right into it because this is also the first solo episode that I'm doing officially as we're moving forward, just with a solo kind of platform, and then like I said, we'll continue to have guests on the show, throughout the season. So let's just dive in, folks. Chris Gotterup, Chris Gotterup, three-time PGA Tour winner, young cat guy, just pounds the golf ball. And I don't think that there was any chance that he was going to lose this golf tournament. I mean, he said something after, after the fact that I thought was really, like really important to take away, both as a spectator, as somebody who is, like watching and observing the golf, trying to take something away from it and learn from it. And that was, he said, I was in control of my mind. So I felt like that was really valuable because it was apparent that he wasn't going to get flustered coming down the stretch with a couple shots, ahead of the field, and obviously finish, winning by 3. But ultimately, it's when you play tournament golf, and I don't, obviously I've not played on tour, but I would have to imagine that that doesn't change, which is whenever you're playing under the gun, it's easy for your mind to start racing. It's easy for you to, get out of your routine and, let your attention to those details go, because of the pressure you put on yourself and the significance that you associate to that moment, despite that not really being, maybe as big as you think it is. Yes, for Chris Gotterup, PGA Tour, I get that. But also, if you're a high school golfer playing in the state championship, you're going to experience very, very similar feelings and emotions. And so I thought that was just really valuable. Stay in control of your mind, stay in tune with, you know, not in tune, but stay focused on the task at hand, to the best of your ability. And I think that will um, really bode well for you guys. So, Sony Open Hawaii, man. I mean, it's a great golf tournament to kick off the year, and um, it was a good field. It was a really good field. There were some big names down there. I mean, VJ Singh, I thought that was awesome. He was catching a lot of heat, for being in the field and taking up a spot. But I think that's hogwash. I mean, the guy was a former world number one, and he made the cut, shot 3 rounds in the 60s. I mean, so I think that he just was able to, um, pretty much just quiet the haters, in that regard. But that was cool to see VJ out there and, playing some good golf with all those young bucks. But, uh, guys, the solo, the solo, hosting thing, it's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit, um, different, and it's hard to know exactly how much, you want to, talk and I don't mean talk, but I mean like, you know, lecture. My goal here on the podcast and with the social media, Three Wiggle Golf brand, like my biggest thing is I want to I want to find a way to serve people, serve, the audience, serve golfers, maybe people that are thinking about taking up golf. And I've had a difficult time really, really deciding what the best foot forward is, in doing that, and creating a way to serve, golfers, like, and in the golf community. And earlier this week, as I was making content, on the Three Wiggle Golf Instagram and TikTok and YouTube pages, I decided to just do a chipping lesson, and it was really well received, and got quite a few shares and, had a little traction to it. And so I thought for this first solo, episode of the 2026 season, I would dive into that a little bit because I felt like that was valuable, and I felt like that, the audience and, you guys out there listening and watching, was able to glean something from that. And so I'm just going to touch on that a little bit today, and then we'll wrap up this episode. So Short game. Um, you know, if you are if you're a low single digit, golfer, handicap golfer, scratch plus, then you're at the point where you're going to have a somewhat of an arsenal of shots within your short game, within the chipping and pitching. And maybe you don't. There is a possibility you don't. You might just have like kind of a go to, or maybe your short game's not that great, but you just are a really good ball striker, uh, and so you don't find yourself having to chip and pitch all the time. But if you are somebody that is a high handicapper and your goal is to get into the 70s consistently, then that video that I created and uh, this lesson was definitely tailored for you, which is it's really critical that you learn how to chip and pitch the golf ball with highly consistent contact first and foremost, because if you want to play great golf, you've got to be able to have a level of predictability, in your golf game. And that applies to putting, chipping and pitching, bunker play, iron play, wedge game, driving the golf ball, and, judging lies out of the rough and first cut. And so having that level of predictability has to start somewhere, and that starts with the baby steps. That starts with, hey, let's set up some really, I refer to it in the video as layups. Um, but when you get to the chipping green, you should, grab 10 or 15 golf balls and set them 4, 5, 6, 10 yards, whatever it is, off the green, and pitch to some targets where you've got a little bit of green to work with, and you're trying to generate a consistent trajectory, trying to generate consistent spin, and be able to you know predict that you're going to get that result every time. And if you can't do that, then it is not in your best interest to be trying to work on flop shots and spinners and um like just manipulating the club face. And as you get better, like I referenced earlier, if when you get to the point where you're a low single digit handicap, scratch plus, etc., you'll likely have gotten to that point in your short game where you have the ability to do that. And so it's fun. Don't get me wrong. And whenever I was in high school and a high handicap golfer, like a lot of the fun in practicing short game is in being creative and hitting those flop shots and and acting like it's to win the US Open. But ultimately, I also understood the value and like, hey, I need to be really, really good at the fundamentals. Like I need to be really, really good at just pitching this golf ball, and hitting the spot. You hear Tiger talk about that, like, chip into a spot. And I think that's really critical. If you're somewhere who, maybe you're starting out in golf and, you started out shooting in the hundreds and, now you've worked yourself down into the, mid 90s or even low 90s, but you feel like you've plateaued there. Well, if we're talking about your short game and you think that the short game is maybe, hindering you from breaking through and shooting in the 80s, more routinely, then I would definitely say like, hey, try that. Try going to the practice green, and first off, you got to go to the practice green. So let's just full stop right there. Because man, I'm going to get on that soapbox for a second, which is golfers expecting good results without doing any practice. That's infuriating. Okay. Infuriating. Don't do it. It's not, it's just go practice. You got to do it. I don't know why. What's ironic, and I'm going to stay on this soapbox, but what's ironic is a lot of these people are like people who have played other sports and understand the necessity of practicing to get better. But for some reason, um, thinking that they don't have to do that in golf for whatever reason. It's just silly. So you got to practice. But if you are putting in practice around the short game, area, and you feel like you're not improving, then I would ask you to take a couple steps back and just go to the fundamentals. Like grab some balls. You don't have to practice short-sided chips, and you don't have to practice flying it and trying to spin it to like back pins. Just get to the green, grab some balls, put them a few yards off the green, and chip it. And can you hit it? Start. Can you hit out of 10 balls? Can you hit 7 out of 10 inside of a 10-foot circle? Can you do that? Because if you can't do that, then you're not getting up and down and you're giving away strokes around the green. Okay. And if you just practice that, you're going to do it once and you're going to go, oh, wow, I got one ball out of 10 inside of a 10-foot circle. Okay, well, then that should tell you you need to keep doing that drill with just basic chips and pitches until you can get to the point where you can hit all those 10 balls inside of 10 feet. Okay. And then once you've done that, and you're going to realize really quickly, you'll take it to the golf course and you're going to go, oh man, I got up and down 3 times today. And usually I don't ever get up and down. Usually I duff it, school it, and then I have to, 2 or 3 putt, to get it in the hole. And so when you get to that point, then you're going to start saying, okay, well, now let's go ahead and tighten that up. Can I get 7 out of 10 balls inside of 7 feet? No, you got 1 out of 10 inside of 7. Okay, well then just keep tightening that up. And you're doing this under, the 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 precondition that you are just hitting the same trajectory, right? The same ball position in your stance, the same technique, um, over and over and over again until you get to the point where you go, I know what the ball's going to do when I chip this, right? I know pretty much how high it's going to be coming off the club face. I know pretty much that it's not gonna stop and check. It's gonna hit and it's gonna roll out. And when you get to that point, um, you know, where you can predict the contact, then we can start manipulating some things in our setup and like through impact to create a little bit more of um a a repertoire of short game shots, ball position in the front, club face open, ball position in the back, hands way forward, right? Kind of like that tie spinner I referenced in the in the reel I made a few days ago. And so um guys, that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I didn't want to get um like I said, I've been really struggling for the last year and a half, you know, not feeling um not feeling clear on what I want to put out there for golf content and why. And the why is because I didn't know how best to serve people. But I feel like, you know, at this point um in my life, I feel like I'm qualified enough to coach people on learning the game of golf. I think I could confidently help somebody get down to around the scratch level if big if that person is willing to put in the work and dedicate the time and be patient to getting there because it's really hard. Golf's really difficult, and so I think that's kind of where I've come to now as the conclusion is like, hey, how do I want to serve people? Well, I'm going to take everything I've learned in the game of golf. Um, I'm going to take everything I've learned from the great instructors that I've got to work with in my life, all the tournaments I've played, all the competitors that I've uh, played with and against and talked to and learned from and shared ideas back and forth and deliver that to you guys because ultimately um, I think that that's the best use of my knowledge in the game of golf is trying to pass that along and help golfers um, get as good as they can and hopefully try to just pursue their fullest potential in the game of golf, whatever that looks like. For some, that could very well just be, man, I just want to break 90. Like I've been playing golf for 15 years and I just can't break 90. Like, okay, well, let's talk. Like maybe I can deliver some things to you that will resonate in a way to hopefully help you create some change, and then turn that change into progress and, like real improvement. And then you break through. Like that would be great. But also if you're somebody who is, you know, you started out shooting 100, but now you're shooting 77, 78. Well, how do we tighten up your game from only shooting 77, 78 all the time to where now you're shooting sub 75 all the time, and we're sneaking in a round under par here and there. That is what would really give me the satisfaction. And so, guys, that's all I want to say for this first solo episode podcast of 2026 season 2. It is weekly wrap. I'm going to keep doing this, as the week over week episodes, following the Sunday final round, just like I did last season. I'm going to keep doing that, but because I'm going solo with it, the weekly wrap snippet will be a little bit quicker and more concise, and the meat and potatoes of the episodes are going to be, like I said, more based around giving you guys the knowledge that I have to hopefully, just like I said, help you guys get more out of your time and efforts in the game, and hopefully have more fun, because ultimately it doesn't matter how good you get, playing bad golf is frustrating. And don't get me wrong, I understand that you can reduce and lower your expectations to where you can just have fun when you're on the golf course. But at least for me, I don't have fun if I don't play at least to my handicap or better. If I play around way over it, that's pretty frustrating for me, because we create those expectations in our head based around, prior results and work that we've put in. And so, when you fall short of that, um, golf is it can be a very, self-deprecating sport if you let it, and so, as much as the mental side of golf, is critical to success, it is just you out there. And so you have to give yourself some slack, and, just be patient, like, have fun. But ultimately, I want to see you guys get better. I love when every now and then I get a message from somebody who has just said, man, I've been really working, and I shot 79 for the first time this year. Like, that makes me feel really good. I didn't have anything to do with it, and I know that, but it makes me feel really good that, you know, somebody's working, somebody's trying to get better. And yeah, man. So thank you guys for following along. Thank you guys for following through Google Golf and supporting the show. It does mean a ton. I know it's this little tiny thing right now, but ultimately I would love to create an opportunity down the road where Three Wiggle Golf can really be a light for golfers, and a source of positivity, encouragement, but also like a source of real value. Like, I want to see, um, I want to see people get better at the game of golf, and hopefully get to play with some of you guys out there as well. So thank you guys. Have a great night. Make sure to go follow at Three Wiggle Golf Co. on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook if you're over the age of 50. Because pretty much I think that's all who's on Facebook at this point. But anyways, yeah, guys, stay tuned. See you next week, and we'll have a little bit more Three Wiggle wisdom for you. Peace.